Start off with the stage 1 testing here, as well as move on to the actual factory reset. The stage 1 testing is just a power on off test, making sure the phone works and powers on. As you can see, the phone's kind of running through its boot sequences at this point, and it's working just fine. This phone, the key sequence for this phone to get into the factory default and reset setting and window is 135, so you just kind of hold 135 at the same time. That's if the phone already has configurations and passwords on it. The screen will pop up in front of you. In this case, this phone has already been flashed previously. Therefore, we can basically start the factory reset and default sequence at just about any point in time we want to. We're just going to wait for it to go through this little application here and get into the main screen. This phone, again, does not have any data on it. It has no phone numbers, no contact details, absolutely nothing. It's a phone that actually has been fully reset. But we're just going to use this as a demonstration steps. Again, whether it does have details on it or it doesn't, the steps and the sequences are the same. So always the keys 1, 3, and 5, you hold them down at the same time simultaneously until you start getting into that window where it will ask you for your factory reset password. Now, when you get into the factory reset password, and I'm going to do this right now actually real quick, I'm just going to hold down the 3 keys simultaneously. As you can see, you hear a little, noise, a little click. And all you have here is your window now. It says factory or reset to factory, and then it's prompting me to put in the password for this thing. Now, a lot of times, if the phone hasn't had its password changed, the default password that comes in from Polycom is 456. Okay, we're going to enter this. As you can see, this time around, this phone accepted it, and because it doesn't have any data, the boot sequence is almost immediate because there's nothing for it to erase. However, majority of the times that you get phones in, they actually have had the password changed by the administrator of the phones previously, and so it is no longer 456. So if you were to put in 456 and prompt OK, you're going to get an error message that you put in the wrong password. Polycom does have a workaround for this, and it's quite simple. So all you have to do at that point in time for the actual password in order to be able to do a factory reset is you turn the phone around. Now, once you turn the phone around, in the very bottom, you can see this address right here, and this serial number is essentially the phone's MAC address. So what you have to do is you have to write this down. Generally, you want to have a piece of paper or any sort of a device here that you can kind of record down this number, take an image of it with your phone, if you will. And all you do is you just record this down and use that as the password. And with every single Polycom phone, as a last resort, you can always be sure that the MAC address will work as a password, because it will basically be used in order to completely flash the phone back to its original settings, and it will not contain any more information, any sort of contact details, phone numbers, caller ID info, anything. It'll all be deleted and gone, and the phone is at that point in time ready to be reused again.
Keep in mind, all of these phones' model numbers, their instructions are written down in the owner's manual, which we have provided.
Yep.
So you will always have to look up the model number and match it with the manual, and all instructions will be written in there.
Yeah, because certain phones will have certain certain sequences of numbers that you're going to have to hold down in order for it to do a factory reset. They're not all going to be 1, 3, and 5. Cisco phones could have a different sequence of keys that you're going to have to hold to get to the factory reset window, and all of that stuff is all written down in that work manual. And technicians are basically instructed to refer to that manual in order to be able to find their part number and find the key sequence for it. Now, every once in a while, if there's an odd phone that's that we get into stock, you're trying to reset that is not in the work manual, that's when you would go up to the manager or the operations manager, and you would basically, and they'll have instructions for what to do further, and they'll kind of come up with further instructions on how to factory reset the phone.